Good evening, guys. The first thing I want you to do tonight for homework is I want you to look at the calendar that I have on the screen. There's some important information that I'm going to be giving you about this calendar. Today is the 24th. You know that today we gathered more information for your expository pillar, and your expository pillar at this point should have 2 main idea sentences, and then under each main idea, you should have 4 details for a total of 8 details. Mrs. Nettle and I should have signed both main idea sentences and signed both sections of details for a total of 4 signatures on your paper. When you look at your paper tonight, if you do not have 4 signatures, then you need to have your parents check your details and make sure they actually support your main ideas, and then you need to have your parents' initial next to each set of details, so that when you come to class tomorrow and we check at the beginning of class, you will have 4 signatures. Remember, when you're creating your details under your main ideas, you need to make sure your details actually support your main ideas. In class today, when Ms. Nettle did the example of Mrs. Hartzog is important to Glen Oaks, a detail that would not support that is that I'm married and I have 3 dogs. That's a fact, but it doesn't support why I'm important to Glen Oaks. So you want to make sure you look at your details and that your details actually support your main idea. So I'm going to review that real quick with you. At the beginning of class tomorrow, you should have 4 signatures on your expository pillar. 2 of them will need to be my signature or Ms. Nettle's signature on your main ideas, because that was due yesterday. Then today we did check some of your detailed sentences or your details under your main ideas, and we initialed your papers. If we did not initial your papers, you're going to want your parents to check and make sure your details actually support your main idea. According to our calendar, if you look right here, tomorrow in class, you're taking your information from your pillar and going to start typing your paragraphs. That's why it's important that someone has checked your details and they do support the main ideas you have written. Another piece of information you need to pay close attention to is you have a video tonight that you're watching for homework, and on the calendar it says you have a video tomorrow night. You will not have a video tomorrow night. I'm actually going to do both of these things in tonight's video. So if you watch tonight's video, you know you do not have homework tomorrow night. So you need to go ahead and cross that off your calendar and don't stress out because you will not have homework tomorrow night. Okay, now for tonight's homework. I'm going to show you how you're going to take the information on your expository pillar and how we're going to turn that into a paragraph. So the first thing I want us to do is I want you to look at my expository pillar. This is the pillar that Ms. Nettle started last week when she was doing her example of details and main ideas. This main idea is the one that Ms. Nettle created. Lyndon B. Johnson is an important person in American history. Yours will say, whoever your person is an important person in American history, or whatever your event is an important event in American history. And then you are coming up with 4 details that support that. The 4 details that I have that support Lyndon B. Johnson is important in American history is that he passed the Civil Rights Act of 1957 as a member of the Senate. He was part of the vitalization of the U.S. space program as part of the Senate. In 1964, he signed the Economic Opportunity Act to help fight the war on poverty. And in 1965, he signed the Medicare bill, which established the Medicare program. All 4 of those are different details that support why he's important to American history. This is the part that's going to be new for you. Now you have to take the information that you have right here and create a paragraph out of that. What would not be a fifth grade paragraph would be for me to say something like, Lyndon B. Johnson is an important person in American history. Lyndon B. Johnson passed the Civil Rights Act of 1957 as a member of the Senate. Lyndon B. Johnson was part of the vitalization of the U.S. space program as part of the Senate. Lyndon B. Johnson also signed in 1964 the Economic Opportunity Act to help fight the war on poverty. Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Medicare bill in 1965 and established the Medicare program. If your paragraph sounds like that, all you are doing then is you are just listing your facts. That would be what we would expect from a third grader's research paper. To make it a fifth grader's research paper, you're actually going to have to elaborate on these details. Remember, we told you these details didn't have to be complete sentences in your pillar because you're going to turn them into sentences. So I'm now going to share with you the paragraph that I wrote about Lyndon B. Johnson being important in American history. So this is my paragraph. I said, Lyndon B. Johnson is an important person in American history. One important thing he is known for is passing the Civil Rights Act of 1957. He did this while he was a member of the Senate. This shows that he was part of furthering equality in America. He was also part of the vitalization of the U.S. space program. This was an important time in American history because we were in a race against the Soviets to explore space. In 1964, President Johnson signed the Economic Opportunity Act, which helped fight the war on poverty. This was important because this act established training programs which would improve the employment in America. Finally, President Johnson is important to American history because he established the Medicare program in 1965. This program supported health benefits for Americans who were under the Social Security system. This would be a fifth grade research paragraph. This does not sound like the third grade example I gave you, where all I did was list this main idea and just list these details. A fifth grader lists the details and then elaborates why that's important. Looking at my paragraph, I want to show you where my main ideas are. So, in my details. So right here, this sentence was my main idea sentence, and I'm going to actually make this a color so that it's easy for you to see. Let's see. Let me get this the way I want it. Here we go. Okay, so Lyndon B. Johnson's important person in American history. I'm going to make that red. That's my main idea sentence. Then these are my details. One important thing he's known for was passing the Civil Rights Act of 1957. I'm going to make that blue. That's one of my details. This was another detail in my pillar. He was part of the vitalization of the space program. Another one from my pillar was that he did the Economic Opportunity Act, and the other one talked about Medicare. So looking at my paragraph, you can see that everything that is red and blue is from my pillar. What's black is where I explained why my details are important. If I was a third grader, my paragraph would only have what I have in red and what I have in blue, because that's all that's expected of a third grader. List a main idea, list 4 details. But a fifth grader needs to list a main idea, list a detail, tell why that detail is important. So if you're looking at mine, you can see a nice pattern. The main idea is red. My first detail is blue. Why that detail is important is in black. My second detail is blue. Why that detail is important is in black. My third detail is blue. Why that detail is important is in black. My fourth detail is blue. Why that detail is important is in black. Mrs. Nuttall today in class told you guys that your paragraphs could have to be at least 5 sentences. A third grader's would be 5 sentences. 1 sentence for the main idea, 1 sentence for each detail. Looking at mine, if you are giving me a main idea, 1 detail, why it's important, detail 2, why it's important, and so on, yours is going to be at least 9 sentences. So you're going to want to make sure that when you're writing your paragraphs tomorrow in class, you're following this pattern. Red, blue, black, blue, black, blue, black, blue, black. Or if you're not a colors person, main idea, detail, why it's important. Detail, why it's important. Detail, why it's important. And a detail, why it's important. I know that you all can do this. It's going to take time, but you've spent a lot of time researching your person or your event, and you can give us a sentence as to why that detail you picked was important. I have not written my paragraph yet for my habits, but I would follow the same pattern. My main idea, my habit 1 that he did, the habit 1 that he displayed, how do I know that that was a habit? Habit 2 that he displayed, how do I know that that's a habit he displayed? The same thing. Remember, a 3rd grade paragraph just lists the main idea, the 4 details. A 5th grade paragraph, main idea, each detail, and why that's an important detail. So, just to review what I said at the beginning of class, when you come to class tomorrow on Wednesday, you will have 4 signatures on your expository pillar page. If you have 4 signatures, you'll be allowed to go to a computer and begin typing your paragraphs. You will then have 2 paragraphs by the end of class, and it might take you a little bit of time on the Friday, and that's okay, to work on your paragraphs. On the calendar, there's homework tonight and tomorrow night. You only have homework tonight. There will not be a video tomorrow night because I have combined both of those videos into this video. Make sure that if you don't understand this video, you watch it twice because this is a lot of information, and this is really going to help you know what we expect from your body paragraphs.